The enemy is working overtime tonight. Most of the day I wrestled for mastery over my eyelids. Yet now they refuse to close as the coal of fear and regret is shoveled at record pace into the furnace of my mind. Never have there been more uncertainties, and never have I felt more ill-prepared to take on the next moment. Never has the clock ticked so rapidly. Every tragedy I've witnessed streams back in brilliant ferocity. I can see blood on pavement and pulsing lights silhouetted against the night sky. I can hear the echo of the last words of loved ones as they slipped into their departure from this earth. I can feel the agonizing sting of every betrayal and feel the whip of regret pounding out its relentless lashes. Anxiety's fangs have left me all but paralyzed. Dread has replaced anticipation, and joy has given way to fatigue that words won't tell. Why has this attack come with such deviant diligence and furious fervor? In regards to spiritual warfare, I am a veteran of many a campaign, yet rarely has it felt as sinisterly deliberate and personal as it does at this moment. Though the enemy knows that he has no power to separate God's redeemed children from their regenerate bloodline, nor from the inheritance thereby, his greatest remaining tactic is that of isolation, intimidation, and overwhelming deceit. He knows that one living as a victim cannot walk as a victor. Since he cannot separate us from the redemptive love of God, he'll seek to drive us to the outskirts and suburbs of God's will, where he knows will be far less effective in kingdom pursuits. He knows that a complacent Christian is not a productive Christian, for they'll be too busy tending their wounds rather than tending the flock. He desires to deceive the elect into being confined to a cell though it has no door. It has been removed with the same impunity as the stone that stood sentinel at Christ's temporary tomb. I wonder how many complacent Christians sit in this cell block, year after year, never noticing the path to freedom sits just steps from the pitiful state in which they currently reside. I wonder how many have yet to see that joy and strength and purpose and discernment lay just beyond the threshold for the taking in Christ. I wonder how many suffer crushing defeat upon crushing defeat because they continue to fight in their own strength, having not learned to hand it over to the advocate whom even the grave could not hold. This is the camp the enemy is trying to drive me back to this night. He seeks to make we that are heirs of the kingdom frantic refugees running from circumstance that accompanies all humanity. Why should we cower before a defeated foe when the Lord has promised to uphold us? We are to live soberly, righteously, and godly in this present age, looking to the blessed hope, the glorious appearing of Jesus Christ, who gave himself for us that he might redeem us from every lawless deed and purify for himself his own special people, zealous for good works. Yet many a ransomed soul is stumbling before Satan's sinister musketry. Some complacently take the full brunt of the volleys, given over to the lie that God's assurances are true for all but them. Others foolishly march into contested ground entirely void of God's armor to find themselves repulsed in short order. Still others sit by the door with knees knocking in the deceptive hope that they'll be able to keep the enemy at bay by their own strength. I have been all of these and have seen the carnage festooned about the battlefield in the aftermath of a fight not submitted to God. I suppose the horse has been beaten quite enough, but I beat because I care. Having long experienced a life on the outskirts of God's will, I cannot stomach the thought of returning thereto, nor the thought of men and women ordained to walk in the all-sufficient power and fellowship of their Creator, sitting in the cells of an unguarded prison. As the elephant is to a tiny tether, are many a believer to Satan's deceit. Oh, that we would realize that our bonds have been placed there by our own hand. For though he may harass, Satan has not the power to bind God's elect. Christ alone is the way to the fulfillment of his promises here and hereafter. Christ alone is the truth by which we discern and triumph, and Christ alone is the life by which we live.